I'm Rochelle, and I am a coach who went through the coaching program here. I started the coaching program in July of 2014, and my co-person back there, Ian, we were in week 1 together. And so I just wanted to talk to you about my journey in coaching and how it evolved into the business that I have today. In 2011, Adler came to my organization, which was the city of Brampton, and they did a workshop on coaching and being a manager with coaching skills. And I remember them coming in, and I remember just loving everything they said. And I thought, well, how can I apply these skills as a labor relations manager working with really irate union members and managers that hated union? And, how could I use it? And I just decided I was going to try. And every time I used the competencies I was taught, I was shocked by the feeling that my clients would get, whether they were senior leaders or union leaders. They just lit up. They felt incredibly empowered. They wondered how it was that they came out of sessions with me actually saying, "Oh, that was my idea," and you're letting me apply my idea in a unique way, taking in aspects of other people's viewpoints. And I was hooked. I love that feeling of helping people feel really empowered about their own unique skills and abilities. So when my life fell apart, I thought, okay, well, why not do exactly what you love? Just explore it. And that's when I signed up for coaching Week 1 Foundations. And now, coming out of the coaching program, I've worked with so many people who were in that same place in their life. They were stuck. They were no longer really passionate about what they were doing. They were trying to figure out a path forward. And I just developed this model that I call 3-dimensional thinking. And it is based on my own personal life. So the 3 principles are, the first is that it's about having perspective and looking at the perspective of the people that you are going to be serving in your industry, your bosses, your clients, but also a perspective on yourself. The second was having a vision. And so one of the things I always encourage my clients to do is, as we do that self-discovery work, develop a vision for who you want to be going forward. And then the last piece is what I call radical insight. And that's where you take the perspective, you take your vision, and you try and come up with, well, what is the new insight that I have that will form the new path? In a nutshell, just to sum it up, I really think that taking a unique approach to your own career and that of your client is really what's going to take everybody to the next level in the marketplace. It's no longer static, right? Jobs are constantly evolving. They're not the same thing that they were before. We have new problems, and they require new ways of looking at those problems. And I really believe that the skills that you're developing in here will serve you really well in helping clients understand that, because coaching is all about helping that person develop the competencies and skills to really look at problems that are presented or challenges that come to them in unique and innovative ways. So I call that 3D career management and 3D career and 3D leadership. And it all came from that life moment that I thought was a disaster and has turned into, a real gem. My mess became my message. And I've been forever changed by the people here in this organization. I've been coached by many of the people in this room. There's a lovely lady over here named Marilyn who has coached me on even just coming up with this idea of who I am and how to make it happen. And you'll have that opportunity here at Adler. I don't think you'll ever regret the experience. And I know you can apply it in an innovative way while you're here and when you leave.
So coaching and neuroscience. So I'm a bit of a geek. Like, I love coaching, but I love research and I love science, and I always want to know the latest thing. And so the great thing about neuroscience and coaching is that these are disciplines that sort of sprang into life and hit critical mass sort of at the same time. And that came with sort of MRI imaging. So what we intuitively knew was the truth and what we had observed in people, now we had hard science, which is so great because I've worked with a lot of really high IQ people and, soft skills and all of that, and we don't need that. And now we've got the science to say, yeah, you need to pay attention to that, and here's why. So it's become an evidence-based world. So neuroscience is your evidence that coaching is not just a nice to have, it's supported by science. The brain is a social organism. It has social needs. So when I say that, think about so what does that mean? What does that mean when you practice coaching, when you say that? And me in particular, so what does that mean when you're trying to have a performance conversation at work? So the brain is a social organism. But because of our sort of lack of sophistication and understanding the brain as a social organism, we get ourselves into trouble. So when you understand this, then it really helps you consider how to have a performance conversation that doesn't leave people crushed, that doesn't leave them disengaged and ready to quit the organization. Because sometimes when you cross that path with people, or when you cross that road with people, sometimes you can never get them back. So most of us have blind spots, and most of us are imperfect. We're all flawed human beings, and yet we're almost allergic to feedback. We're allergic to hearing about it. So my work is going, okay, if that's the case, how do I come in as a coach? How do I provide and create feedback-rich performance cultures? Because your people are your number one differentiating asset. So the brain, the way the brain is wired, it's always, right now, it's, for me, and every brain in here is scanning for threat. Is there a threat? Is there a threat? And this ensured our survival. And I know, we've been talking about this for a lot, and everybody knows how this works. So what you have to do is you have to move the brain from threat, I have to be careful, to a place that feels safe, where it feels open, where we feel that we can entertain things that might be a little uncomfortable. The brain is wired for status. 1 up, equal, 1 down, 2, 2, 2. It's always doing the math. Actually, in the brain where status is determined is the same place in the brain where we do math. And when you're doing good coaching, you're always acknowledging the client. Not so much for status reason, but this builds the serotonin and the dopamine, and they feel good. And it's about authentically caring for people, having a real interest in them. So relatedness, as everybody knows in this room, we are tribal beings. We like to be in groups. We love to belong. The brain has a need to belong. If we don't belong somewhere, like when religions excommunicate people, that is one of the worst punishments that you can do. You can see how threatening that is to the brain. So the neuroscience gives you the evidence which you need in organizations. If you understand the brain has social needs and that we need to service those needs, soft skills, training, not a nice to have, it's an imperative. It's what makes the difference between a good and a great organization. And I've worked for some of the biggest brands in Canada, and I can tell you, high IQ organizations, low EQ, man, if they had high IQ and high EQ, what we could achieve would just blow me away. It's amazing what we do, what we accomplish working only on 6 cylinders. Imagine if we were working on 12, which is what the coaching is enabling, which is really, I say for myself, in terms of the power of coaching, when people tell you, and all the coaches in this room will know, and those that want to be coaches or have a natural inclination to coach, you will change people's lives. That's what people have said to me. It's like, you've changed my life. And I was like, wow. That was never my intention. It was to help you get to your goal. But you change people's lives. And that is a calling, when you change people's lives.